I'm Greg Washington, and welcome to the second client training. A lot has happened in the internet over the last year or so. I think the most important has been that the viewers that are now looking at and looking for you are now using more mobile than they've ever done before. We as business people need to move from a mindset of organic marketing entitlement. Yeah, that's what I meant. I meant to say that because what's happening is we expect that because Google gave us the quote gift close quote of finding new customers using their search system, that's the way it's going to always be. Well, it was a time in America when we assumed that there was going to also be plenty of water to drink, and who would even have to buy water on a regular basis? Well, times have changed in terms of us consuming water. Times have changed in terms of us getting new customers. The biggest difference is lead volume. Google AdWords produce lead and predictable volume if you're doing it correctly, if you're executing correctly. And I'm going to give you a checklist, by the way, of what you want to do if you're doing it correctly, because we want to be sure we engage that shopper. I alluded earlier to a tracking and information mechanism that goes beyond what Google provides or Bing provides. When you're using AdWords, Google actually has telephone numbers that are inside of each ad that's running that allows them to track a specific page, I should correct that, a landing page that is on your website that the consumer winds up on. But we have one other improvement that we've used with some special software. We can actually give the operator that answers the phone, the salesperson that answers the phone on their computer as the call is coming in, we can tell them what ad the person was looking at the time they made the call. Of course, the time of day, they know what that is. The person's name, how they get that, I don't know, but they have the person's name showing up, the person's telephone number. And by the way, Google does not give you this information. They do not give you the person's name or the person's telephone number. It tells you exactly from where they're calling from, how far they're calling from. You can see someone here, in this instance, this is a sample only, calling from New York. And that could happen, by the way. It could be somebody on the cell phone that's been in New York that's maybe the daughter or son or a relative of the person's house that they're in. They're trying to help and do some research for. It gives you the duration of the call, but bigger than that, it records the call so you can actually analyze if the people on the phone that are representing you are selling you properly. But it has one other feature. You can actually annotate each one of these transactions, and you can actually put down detailed information about each transaction for follow-up. Now, think about it. You're spending money to create these leads, and there's a phenomena in PPC called conversion. And what a conversion is when someone clicks on an ad, they don't necessarily go any further, but if they do make a phone call or they do send you an email, that's called a conversion. And conversions can be very, very expensive, or they can be very inexpensive. One of the things that we've done and talked about in some of our other courses on AdWord advertising, there's something called quality score. With Google in particular, they actually make the cost of click less expensive if the AdWord campaign is successful and working properly. That's an actual fact.
Hi, I'm Hal Varian. I'm the Chief Economist here at Google. Let's talk about how advertisers can influence their cost per click and ranking in the auction. By improving your quality or adding ad formats, you can potentially improve your ad position. You could also end up paying a lower cost per click.
So what are the costs of using PPC? Mistakes. Because the time you take, the money you spend can be right down a rat hole if you don't know what you're doing. And believe me, it can be costly if you aren't doing it correctly. The planning time, of course. The PPC buy, the campaign where you're paying Google and Bing for that exposure. And by the way, we and everyone else in the business know this, but many of our clients don't know this. Google does not pay commission. Google does not pay us. The Bing people do not pay us. The only thing we have to sell when we're working with this particular type of marketing is our time. So you're going to find us be very frugal with our time, because we can have long conversations and long processes of educating people and not be paid for it. So when we spend time on doing this PPC marketing, We're selling time. Okay? And by the way, any ethical organization that you're working with is doing AdWord or PPC advertising, you should be transparent. You should have access to your account, your AdWord account. You should know exactly how much money you're spending. You should know what your conversion costs are, and you should have detailed information presented to you regularly. In summary, shoppers are people in the moment of buying. Shoppers using the internet right now and specifically using the mobile devices, they're ready to buy. Are you ready to tell them what they need and how they need it and that you are the best person to give it to them? You want to move from a mindset of organic marketing entitlement. There are many types of PPC, but the real deals are Google AdWords and Bing's. You want to have at least a 90-day plan of execution. You want to be sure that you're getting assistance from certified specialists in those specific PPC market opportunities.